have something up your sleeve
breathe.
and super
it's
niche.
breathe, man.
And it's breathe, of course. And there's just so much CC and synergy between this jungle top duo that it just kind of is one of the strongest, if not the strongest 2v2 up on the top side right now. And RNG, to be honest with you, they don't even have to lock Sejuani yet because they see maokai. So if they want to go towards something, for example, like this Varus, they can very happily, as they know that Sejuani won't be taken away. And that should be a very telegraphed pickup for RNG on 3. So now EDG have to bear that in mind as they go for their next rotation.
5-head Jamada, that's a good point there. So the Varus, as you said, picked up. Now for EDG, their option before it starts getting banned away, what's it going to be? Ashe getting picked up here. Now remember, this has been played in AD carry, but we want to see what accompanies it down in that bottom lane if it truly is going to be in the support position too. At the moment, EDG looking at something else, maybe something for the solo lane presence, as the Jayce has also been a bit of a flex here, Jamada. More often than not going into the mid lane, but Ala is also a big Jayce player.
Yeah, definitely is. And this is one of the few matchups where, you know, Jax can kind of struggle in the early phases. It very much varies on the Jayce player. I think one of the ways where if you want to just be super oppressive into the Jax and never allow him to trade into you efficiently, just take the phase rush up as a keystone, and he never gets to stick to you properly like how he really wants to onto some of these ranged carries. So I think for Ala, very happy on that Jayce. There's that very much telegraphed Sejuani pick that we were expecting. Now Kassadin gets removed away, which spells to me RNG probably looking for something a little early scaling in the mid lane perhaps, as they don't want to have to deal with, you know, potentially a free lane coming out from this Kassadin on the side of FoFo.
Yeah, I wonder what it's going to be. So far, Tangyuan has played the Xiaohu role, you know, with Galio, things like the Lysandra as well coming through. It's definitely been reminiscent of the old RNG mid laner. As we come through, we get another mid lane ban here from EDG. Looks like the Silas is going to be a priority, thinking about, again, something you talked about that might want to have a simpler time. And then we can talk about the bottom lane a little bit, Jamada, because I know we haven't mentioned it so far. Obviously, that man down with his old AD carry. Ming is back, by the way, folks. I'll give a proper announcement as we go into game. But the biggest question is, what is he going to return on to? Because right now, a lot of support's up and available. There hasn't been a priority ban against Ming so far.
Yeah, definitely. I wonder if, wouldn't it be cool if we just get him first game Varus support, like how we had the other day
yeah.
out of Arn?
Yeah.
Still technically a possibility. We're in a weird world, folks, right now in the bottom lane metas, as Caitlyn will be taken away, so they don't want to have to deal with, you know, double long range from the Ashe, from the Caitlyn, which says to me that they're probably looking to play something a little more traditional on the RNG end. As EDG, I expect, yeah, just something that would pair up really well with Sejuani. The Akali just makes pretty much perfect sense from Tangyuan, but I wonder if he wants to go towards something still very utility-based. And actually, RNG, I wonder what they want to pick up first, because I feel like when you have Sejuani Jax, you want mid lane priority so you can play towards the top side, which means that here, realistically, you have to kind of just go your bottom laner. However, you can still go something very strong at base level in the Syndra, and you're still going to have a very, very powerful 2v2 in the mid lane again. You know, along that same thought process of last game, if Sejuani lands that ultimate, all of a sudden Tangyuan is set up to one-shot whoever gets stunned up by that.
Adds a bit of range with the Varus too. I'll be asking you about that as we round out our composition. So it means support counterpick is going to be coming through from RNG, giving him the priority. It's been something that RNG have done in the past as well. As we look towards EDG, rounding out their composition means we are going to find out where this Jayce is going to go. Right now, it looks like they want to take him mid and outplay the range against Tangyuan.
All right, very interesting. We'll see how this one plays out for Ala in the top side. Of course, we've seen a lot of Jax. Ksante, it kind of goes both ways. It's a very skill-based matchup, to be honest with you. I think Jax, you know, since having his changes with his ultimate dealing a little more burst damage, there's a lot more, you know, of a kill threshold available to him on the EDG side. We'll see how Ala decides to deal with that on the Ksante. Right now, it looks like we're actually going to get a Zeri. So somebody's Zeri Ashe in the bottom lane here for Meiko and Leave. Very interesting decision to go towards, because typically, I mean, you know, it's always Zeri plus, you know, Lulu, Yuumi, anything that's going to buffer up. This is an Ashe, so I'm not really sold. I'm just going to say it flatly how I feel. I feel like right now, if RNG goes something really, really poke heavy as well to just try and match the Ashe, Varus is going to do just fine in the early laning phase against this Zeri, and with no, you know, buffer with the Lulu or the Yuumi to sort of alleviate those early lane pressures. I feel like RNG now have a super hard winning bottom side matchup, and lanes in the solo lanes where they're not really going to get punished too heavily either.
And dude, with the Karma in the bottom lane, like from personal experience, Karma has a great time against Ashe especially as well. The early poke's going to hurt, and for Ming's grand return here on RNG alongside Gala, this is the 2v2 as you said. that I think is going to hurt as well. Now, Jamada, you talked about lanes not struggling too much. We also have Breathe on Jax there, as you talked about how it can be, I guess we know it could be somewhat of a volatile matchup, unfortunately, because of Ksante. Walk me through a little bit about how EDG operate, because I see EDG haven't started the split strong. With 1-1 from EDG, with 1-2 from RNG, our most historic organizations in the LPL with the most historic rivalry are coming in underwhelming. But EDG and RNG always play it up. And so as we enter Summoner's Rift with Breathe versus Ala, with FoFo versus Tangyuan, with Leave versus Gala, these are hype matchups with some newbies mixed into what I just mentioned. Hopefully it delivers. RNG and EDG right before your screens. On the Chinese side, they still look at this as their match of the week because they believe. You've also got Wei and you got Jiejie. You got junglers who have a lot of credentials against their names now as well. And Jamada, it's a pleasure to be with you here when we did talk about, some of the concerns from EDG through draft. You looked at the bottom side here kicking off when Ming's grand return back to RNG has him on a nice little poke line that's going to be pretty punishing against Leave and Meiko.
Yeah, and, speaking a lot with Orcs, rest in peace. He's not dead. He's just not in the LPL anymore. He's been quite an Ashe connoisseur, so I've been going to him for a lot of matchup details and things like that. And he's been saying things like Karma, a lot of the enchanters, Ashe just has a really good time into just because of the way that Halo Blades works. Walk up through woes, it's really hard for enchanters to really match that kind of DPS. But in a lane like this where, Gala should be able to help trade back out, I feel like that's not really going to be an issue. So Meiko is really going to have to pilot this lane to pretty much perfection if he's going to make this one work, because as a duo, Zeri and Ashe shouldn't really be working out too, well. But this is what I'm talking about, right? You can't really trade that back always with the Halo Blades trades too efficiently. In that case, that's a really good trade, and Meiko's going to have to continually do this so that they can get the edge over the RNG bottom lane.
Oh man, already walking up. As you're talking about the Halo Blade straight into Gala. Level 2 hit now as well, as Volley just helps out with that. And Halo Blades comes through, Ming steps up, and it hurts like hell. Meiko and Leave establish dominance, and straight away Jiejie is like, yep, I'm invading off the back of this.
Yep, I see Ming is on 100 HP. No more pots, just the biscuits. I'll be taking this blue buff if I can, or at the very least just getting some information. Looks like he'll just drop Sapling in the bush, so Wei's gonna probably eat a little bit of damage once he gets the buff started up. However, he's actually just cheating his whole potentially, and you can see Jiejie is just looking for information. He's going to finally see it on the blue. We'll see whether or not he really wants to go in towards it. He's really undecided right now whether or not he wants to go towards the mid lane or towards the blue buff.
I think he's pivoting towards the steal away from Wei. He's at half HP, but he has double buff. Jiejie throws a sapling across, but he's going to take a twisted advance. Threatens out Wei, gets the smite down, gets the steal. But Wei now looking for a re-engage. The Winter's Flail comes through. Tangyuan now moving. There's a flash as well, because Permafrost is one hit away. Jiejie still with his supplement available. Scout of the Week follows through with the chain. Ming coming through. The poke AoE. That's Karma, baby. And Karma to the face for first blood as FoFo flashes away. And RNG with the counterplay that punches hard.
Yeah, really nice counter uppercut from RNG there. I mean, it's just a bit of an overextension in the end. I think Jiejie just had to make his mind up on what he was doing. And also, certainly, Meiko, just the full bottom lane of EDG has to rotate to this, because it's a play that's going on for so long. They're so focused on, smashing the 2v2 that Ming just leaves, right? The geography of the map means that Ming gets here first. It doesn't matter if you've got priority in the lane, if simply the geography of the rift works against you. And FoFo pays for the sins of his jungler with his own flash as well.
No summoners available, had to TP back to lane. Tangyuan holds onto his. And just alone, we look at a summoner trade from jungle towards mid. Overall, with RNG getting 500 gold in the lead, and now setting themselves up in first. Jamada, this is bot lane scuttle. This is the potential of Dragon in a lane that we saw started off with Ming going down to about 10% HP.
Yep, exactly. It's really well managed by Ming post that level 1 trade, where Meiko was definitely getting the better end of it. And now it's very quickly snowballed into a counter invade here on the bottom side, where Wei will now take away those chickens. Second rotation spawn up as well. So Jiejie, once he clears his wolves, he's going to find very quickly. He's not got too many resources to farm on the bottom side. Wei is likely even going to rotate down maybe towards this wave as it crashes, and can put some pressure down onto Meiko and leave. Or, like you called out, Dragon is spawned and up and available, so once Gala and Ming get this wave crashed in, they can go and support their jungle.
And look at the information they'll gain as well. Double control ward placed out, so Jiejie, no matter where he goes, as now one of them sees him, it was bound for Jiejie to get spotted out. Drawing the dragon out, that vision line extends, and that dragon now invisible for the time being as Tangyuan moves into the brush and just pokes down Jiejie. Looks like Wei was getting low on HP as well and didn't want to risk it, so dragon is stopped, and Jiejie did a good job of advancing and trying to push the play.
Very nice to just stop that sort of slow ball of momentum that was starting up there for RNG. Just the presence is good enough, and will Jiejie be able to sneak down something silly on the bottom side? Looks like the answer will be no. No silliness. We had a lot of silly.
So where do you go?
So
yeah, I don't want any more. I'm good. I mean, this is more constituted play so far. Things like Ming over the wall, getting that first blood. You know, these are meant to be better teams, just not historically, but, you know, we look at the player names on it as well, especially with people like FoFo, who have once upon a time being top tier mid laners in the LPL. You know, Jiejie was absolute legend on the World Championship EDG roster. Even Wei through MSI, Breathe, you know, coming through as well as one of the best top laners in the league in recent history. We got a lot of expectation on this series, and I'm talking about that. Also, the expectation on RNG was to start Dragon in this game. Looks like EDG are going to start it off instead, with RNG just making their reset.
Yeah, looks like RNG are just going to give this one up. After the initial attempt at a takedown, this gives EDG enough space, as Tangyuan is going to stop FoFo from resetting in that brush. And actually mentioned Breathe springing up again, just because on that top side, he's really been two-faced, at least by CS, one-to-one with Ala here. So he will be scaling up very, very nicely towards that Divine Sunder, and then we'll see where he decides to go from there. Of course, Jack's scaling side lane monster, but has many builds to work with, so we'll see what items he decides to go towards in the mid to later stages. Ala on the opposite side, likely to go towards the ones that we know. Frost Fist, of course, Iceborne Gauntlet. I can't remember what the correct name for it is.
Frostfire Gauntlet, dude. Iceborne shows your age. That's okay.
Iceborne does show my age, yeah. But all of those items, just to sort of slowly dissuade Jax from playing these side lanes and see whether or not Ala can try and use some of this like immediate level 6 power to find a good 1v1 angle, maybe onto Breathe. But for now, it's all quiet up there on the top side.
Well, Wei's committing to the bottom side. It's ward play here that's going to spot him out as Jiejie is getting zoned out by Tangyuan. Some of the power of the 2v2 that you talked about through mid lane here for RNG showing so far, with Tangyuan actually doing pretty well. Remember, the FoFo decided to opt in for this matchup when EDG late picked into that top lane. So far, RNG haven't been threatened too much here. Is thank you so much for the leash. Jiejie just getting stolen away. Wei now with a bit of a camp lead as well. So really solid play here from RNG through jungle.
Yeah, very, very solid. Indeed, Wei just responding really well to whatever Jiejie has been deciding to do, whether it's good or bad in the beginning, and now angled quite nicely for a Herald. Don't forget, Breathe will step in that top wave, so that's going to be first move there, and Gala and Ming making their way up the river, so this should be an RNG Rift Herald as well, just off the setup alone. We're spotted, but still, I think main objective should be completed here. I feel like Jiejie and the rest of EDG just not really going to be looking to try and test this one. So EDG, they do get the first dragon, but RNG at the very least trade out for the Rift Herald, so we'll see what use they can get out of that one. As across the board, the lanes not looking too terrible, pretty much even across the board on the CS. You know, 4 or 5 here or there, so I think RNG really just going to sort of take an opportunistic look at where they can drop the Herald and see whether or not they can just snowball one of their lanes.
As Ming and Meiko are going to battle it out, but the difference is Ming has CC. Unfortunately, that tether's not going to land, and Jiejie and FoFo are going to make their way out of it, but FoFo's pretty low on mana. As this flash comes through, the one combo is all you're going to get, and Tangyuan now stuck against the wall. Bop back, and FoFo makes do. It's his first kill of the game, and EDG capitalizing through mid.
Yeah, FoFo going to feel good about that one after Jiejie, you know, had an interesting showing in RNG's early jungle. Now FoFo paid back a kill. Call it tax returns after what happened, losing his flash. So now FoFo will get a little bit further advanced towards that first item. Very, very defensive opening. Merc treads plus the tier. Makes sense though, right? Sejuani plus the Syndra. The less time you're CC'd and locked down, the higher chance you have of not only returning damage, but of course the very obvious answer of just escaping. So kill gonna go the distance in getting him towards that first mythic.
Jamada, I'll tell you, everyone on that team is worth buying Merc Treads for. Every single person. So I gotta respect it there that it's gonna get a lot of value in this game. Especially when, you know, for RNG, we did talk a lot about their ability to utilize range, find picks as well, and how this team wants to operate. We haven't really talked about top lane a little bit much, but maybe that's normal. Breeze so far has just been laning it out. No distinct advantages. Cameraman's obsessed up here. That means they either have future sight, they know something's going to happen, or someone has fallen asleep and it's just now this second observer has to take over.
Yeah, I mean, hey, you never know. That lane is super explosive. We've seen a lot of it over in the LEC.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, it goes back and forth quite frequently. Sometimes Jayce is winning, sometimes Ksante's winning. And very quickly, those fights happen as Ashe pushed away from...
Nice.
Would have. Wei just, you know, threatens the engagement. I mean, that's one of those things, though, where honestly, if Wei, you know, queues forward, FoFo might just reaction flash, just on, you know, instinct. So, never be averse to just, you know, throwing your body forward as Sejuani like that if you know you're not going to commit. Fully.
As he still has the Arctic Assault and flash available, that ulti there too, but EDG have backed away far enough. And so playing very conservatively throughout these lanes. Everything apart from mid lane as FoFo jumps in once again. Scout of the week. Not working too long, as you mentioned, the Merc Treads coming into full use here, and Jiejie just hovering behind because he knows, hey, Wei's going to come in. There he is. Shock Blast comes in time, and just deny any essence of a game.
Yep. Jiejie just doing his part, right? At this point, you can see Wei. We spoke about with the Rift Herald in terms of usage. It will probably be a very opportunistic drop because I think across the board, it's very, very strong options. And I think Wei has that on his mind. That's why he's been so actively looking for some plays across the map, and Jiejie, you know, covers that one at the very least in the mid lane. Also made his presence half felt as Wei approached the bottom side. This time again, though, the ultimate will connect.
Hey, this time the flash burn unleashes power, but there's no hell to pay. Instead, running away, FoFo lives on, meaning RNG's play. Just going to turn to the Herald while Dragon's being done in response by EDG.
Yeah, I mean, 2 dragons, and if this is a very, very strong soul, and it's just Cloud, it's not the best for the EDG composition. So RNG aren't going to feel too upset about that one. They just going to fall short. So 2 dragons traded basically for the Herald, and then of course the plate. Some plates rather. So RNG, I guess, you know, for now, gold on the members they want the gold on, and we'll see whether or not they can actually use that, whereas EDG have a slightly more, you know, map pressure lead in the sense of having those dragons. And we'll see whether or not Soul can really bring some effective power as a really nice side step comes in. FoFo with no flash this time. I mean, there's no ultimate available to the Syndra just yet, so even if she does get locked up, I think FoFo probably would have been okay with that.
Yeah, but it's Ming roaming around, adding pressure. I mean, this is his first game back, folks. If you're tuning in for the first time, Ming has been away. Was a bit of a free agent while he negotiated with RNG, but now that he's back, you know, we've got a lot of hype to bring because he brought direction to RNG over all those years. And the fact that he's coming back on the EDG series as well, I mean, Jamada, it just feels right considering that these two going up against each other, I believe they're still friends, as far as I know. But Meiko and Ming, it's always been a great rivalry considering they have been in their teams for the longest. Now, especially since Xiaohu's moved on, Ming and Meiko are the franchise players, and they are, you know, big voices within their teams. It's great to see Ming back on this special occasion, considering that in this first game, he is how RNG got that first blood, got that first kill, and the only kill so far. Now we're just waiting for Meiko in response to the Enchanted Crystal arrow to come through. We're at 14 minutes in the game, and Herald's coming up, second time around in about 45 seconds. Let's see how EDG move up for this one, because Meiko started to move. It seems like there's a bit of priority being put on EDG to slowly work their way up.
Yeah, I mean, I think both these teams have been posturing quite defensively throughout. Of course, we had Jiejie on that very early invade, but what I would really like to see from EDG is a little more fishing with some of these Ashe arrows. I think we've seen maybe, what, 2 be sent out so far this game. I'd really like to see a little bit more just on the grounds of you never really know whether or not it's going to connect, right? Especially if you're throwing them globally. Speaking of things that will probably connect, this ultimate.
Flash ulti, Merc Treads again. The value great, but there's too many people this time. Chains Corruption used as well by Gala. A lot sent out, but getting that kill sets up RNG for now the tower pressure, now the Herald as well, Jamada. A big move.
Yeah, really, really nice pick onto FoFo. No flash from the earlier play. They know that he's a very vulnerable target to go towards, and they can go pick up this Herald on the back of the plate. And, you know, without this Dragon being, you know, an Infernal or Hex Tech, one of the more aggressive or, you know, annoying, powerful souls to deal with, it just being a Cloud where there's not a lot of effectiveness to get out of it. RNG very happy to just get these picks, pick up the Herald, and then, you know, come 2 minutes time when this Dragon spawns up. I would be surprised if you see them drop it, you know, on a side lane to support Breathe or just in the mid lane to brick the tower. Tier 2. A really, really nice engage where, yeah, FoFo just doesn't really have a chance, even through the Mercs. Great value. You know, we've been waving that flag, but unfortunately, too much CC is still going to beat out on having some of that tenacity of it.
I'm going to say to you, Jamada, though, even though Cloud Soul, you talk about not being as valuable, seeing a Zeri with Cloud Soul if this game goes on.
Oh, yeah.
Dude. No Enchanter, but
look,
still worth mentioning.
I am the Cloud Soul shiller. I am the...
Oh, yeah.
I am the Cloud guy. Last year, I pushed a huge narrative because I think Cloud Soul was largely undervalued. It's just that this game, Cloud Soul, you know, in terms of the active ultimate portion, it kind of just sucks everyone on this team besides Zeri.
Yeah.
So, well, I guess actually Ksante likes it. You know, having all that extra movement speed on the all-out cast is quite nice for sticking power. So, you know, it's not super oppressive like if you're playing a Rakan or an Olaf or an Aatrox, but still some value there. But
and I also just realized that Jiejie is running first strike maokai, which normally we do see phase rush. So
it's a bit of a mix. I think we've been seeing a lot like of a mix in solo queue, and I think we've definitely seen. It's kind of like a 70-30, right? I think if Maokais know that they don't need phase rush to like stick to a target or kite away after an engage, they can go first strike, and it just prints them out, you know, a lot of additional money on top of the damage that it also provides. Now, RNG, they're fishing for a pick.
Oh, wait, the angle, look at it, beautiful. The AoE as well, Meiko's down. Way now running away as the Nature's Grass does a bit of the dirty work, but Leave has pulled out the shock, but Breathe, not spotted, twirl around, and spin, baby, spin. It's like a Dead or Alive music clip, but Breathe, fortunately, hasn't gotten to the chorus yet. It was tempting, but it doesn't net the highest possibility for RNG. Dragon sits there for the time being because EDG are moving the fast-paced play towards mid. Kara's not going to go down. Herald is going to be popped in the bottom lane, and now it's just switching lanes. Is Arrow not going to hit either.
Swing and a miss with that arrow, and just a disengage on all fronts as EDG, they're going to make their way back to the river. That Herald kind of thrown to the wayside in a way. Yeah. I definitely wasn't going to be timing out anytime soon. They still had around 2 minutes left on it, but I guess they just didn't want to commit to the bottom side, and now EDG will pick up their third dragon as RNG. They might try and poke and prod their way in here, but you can see where the rest of the team is. Maybe fight? Maybe.
Has to be, right?
Okay.
Jiejie holding off.
Yeah,
Waves coming in.
EDG have backed off a little bit here, so maybe you're right, HYsterics. I think RNG actually have a lot more grounds to contest this than I think they actually realize.
I mean, Wei does have his ult up again. Both
they're
coming in off the side, and RNG using numbers for the time being. Breed moving down. This Dragon going down ever so slowly. TP is going to be used. That's from the mid lane. FoFo's like, I'm not walking here. He gets an Uber for a 5-minute journey as now Nature's Grasp once again comes through. Only locks down Sejuani, but Wei gets hit with an arrow. It's CC after CC. Jungler dead now, no smite. And it goes over to FoFo in the end. Third Dragon with now the fight ensuing too. Ming flashes over the wall to get on out of there. While the poke from Gala, the tippity tip, takes down Meiko, but for the Dragon, still a massive worth and all, chat.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, if you can get to the soul, right, if EDG feel like they will be in a comfortable enough position by the time that, you know, a hypothetical Elder spawns, if they get this next Dragon, it's worth picking up all of these things if they can shut down RNG's attempts at team fighting, as they've been so threatening time and time again. So much CC laid into Wei, he just can't move. The Dragon actually goes over, I think it's FoFo, yeah. He's the one that secures it. And RNG, I think, in the initial, you know, build-up to this Dragon, or kind of the second initial build-up, shall we say, a little bit too hesitant. I think they could have taken position a lot quicker once they realized they had their tools. They were too slow to the punch, whereas EDG rather was still there. And now, I mean, Meiko, that's unlucky. I mean, that's just one of the, you know, downsides of playing Ashe. If you are against a very bursty champion like Syndra, you're just gonna die to basically the full kit.
rough. I mean, free resources over to Tangyuan. Nothing but that Baron up and available, the death timer not being really over 20-25 seconds at the time being, so nothing gained apart from a bit of that goal, but still, pick potential always going to be there here as EDG move back up to the top side. They're pinging down Tangyuan. Jamada, they want to kill this Syndra. There is still a turret there, though. As Arrow, oh, it hits! Meiko, revenge! Revenge is best served ice cold. As he goes golden, there's no way he survives, and Meiko must be smiling on that.
Oh yeah, I'm sure he's happy. And again, just need more of that, just more fishing. That's the power of the Ashe ult, right? I mean, look at it. It's already a third of the way back, practically halfway. Yep. And they just found that pick seconds ago. And honestly, EDG, I think they're a little bit too chunked out, and members are too close to really consider a Baron, but they can, you know, in the near future, start to try and pressure things like that, right? Look for turnarounds with the Nature's Grasp, with the Ashe arrows, and just put RNG in uncomfortable positions where they have to face check and they have to send Wei in where he can maybe get bursted down from full to, even if it's like 20%, it's still a worth chunk out. As Ashe arrows, they get the full on point of view from base.
From zero to hero, honestly.
Yeah. And one real niche thing I really like here, Jiejie actually positions kind of behind Tangyuan just to guard off the flash. Where Tangyuan did flash, he would still be in range if he did it at a 90-degree angle behind him. He would follow up with the twisted advance, so real nice on the micro there from the EDG jungler. Great aim.
Okay, so taking stock of the game, where we're at, because Dragon Soul's coming up, I think it's an important time. There's been picks here and there that have opened up turrets, but we haven't had our significant team fight yet. Jamada, run me through a little bit, because EDG in a bit of an advantage here. 2 items through mid, 2 items in the AD carry position. Not that full item Zeri, but I do feel like EDG are feeling pretty powerful, especially FoFo by their side.
I think even though the items right now are kind of equal, the thing is EDG have started to actually use the power of the Ashe ult to just try and fish for picks like this.
Oh! Hitbox on the Gala. Twisted advance now follows through. Ming is blasted to oblivion, trying to kite it out. The fans footwork not enough for the electroshock from Leave. Good scout of the week is Tangyuan and TP's on him, but now Ala's in too. Running forward, this guy about to pop off, but not given a chance to go all out as Ming is dead. Luckily, it's not in time for the Dragon.
Yeah, luckily it isn't, but EDG feels like they've come online and really kind of recognized the strength of their composition in terms of finding these pick potentials. And that's what we kind of asked for when he was coming out of the draft, right? Use that, use the Maokai ultimate, use the Ashe ultimate to just fish from range and see what you can find, and then just kind of pounce after the fact. Because if you try and take this team composition 5v5, it's going to probably feel quite rough, right? You've got such short range on the top side of the map. Your bruisers, your tanks, your front line aren't really going to be able to achieve much besides just kind of tanking up a lot of the damage. And in this case, EDG have just kind of cut those corners and they're using their range engage perfectly, and RNG just don't have an answer right now.
Now unleashing on point as well. I like how you said that the fishing has finally started. We're 30 seconds towards Dragon, and after that last play, Cleanse now on cooldown. The bell should be up by the play, but it's going to be cutting it close here from Ming. EDG have priority in the river, and Jamada, RNG positioning in. It's got to come up to Wei, right? It's got to come up to maybe Tangyuan Scat of the Week, a pick before this Dragon spawns. Oh, wow. Otherwise, they could be facing down Death's Door at least with a soul to benefit.
Yeah, and Meiko, his aim's been so good. He kind of got robbed by the low ground, high ground of the river there, to be honest with you. As there you go, Wei looks for it, but he doesn't aim true. Scout of the Week lands.
Scout of the Week's good. It's onto Ala. He runs forward anyway, wanting that all out. Here comes Nature's Grasp through the enemy team. Jiejie doesn't hit a target either. Doesn't want to follow that through with the twisted advance. Dragon is now live. This is soul for EDG, but RNG are making a pushing play instead. Breathe has TP, and he's putting pressure on the top side in the turret.
Yeah, and it's FoFo that has to go and answer. As RNG, they're going to advance into the river here. EDG kind of just feel like they maybe can't actually advance into this one, and I don't blame them at all. I think if RNG take their time about it, they'll definitely give EDG enough time to come back in and respond. But I think the importance of the Ashe arrow, I mean, it's already back up because that cooldown is way too short. But and JJ's ultimate as well. I think the fact that they were both down gave RNG a brief window to maybe consider just leveraging the fact they had that side lane pressure, but step away from it. And now it's going to give EDG enough time to try and step back in and actually just reposture for this.
Again, FoFo just doesn't want to walk it. And now Breathe backing away as well. We'll see as the Enchantress arrow hits the goalpost. EDG has sent out that ultimate once again. Breathe has backed off, and remember, that teleport is available for him to join in, but he's going super deep.
Yep.
He's very far away, so they'll see exactly where he is.
Yep, they'll know. I think Breeve's going to push in this wave and then just dip into Fog of War and just make EDG consider where exactly he's going to come from. They'll know the rough angle, but they won't know exactly where, and that's the scary thing as RNG. They're kind of posturing with that in mind. They're going to spot Breeve on the sword, but maybe Wade looks for something. They're kind of split a little bit, right? Meiko leaves mid lane. RNG aren't going to pounce on that opportunity though. And they're really, really dancing hard for this dragon. They don't want to give solo to EDG just on the grounds of it being a soul. And RNG, they're just not really finding the angle to pull the trigger properly, but that's a lot of nice poke onto Meiko.
It is, and again, it's been coming through quite a lot here. Is that sapling sets up for the slow. Tangyuan gets poked down. The Mikhail's Bell's used just to get him out of there. But that bell that was savored for Gala in the past will now not be available as Dragon now starts. EDG through the arrow, through the poke, through just the sapling with demonic embrace. EDG are now getting the Dragon Soul. Maokai is just the best.
Maokai's broken, man. And that's why you see sometimes the first strike come through as well.
He's got a Night Harvester, sorry. Not even a demonic embrace.
Yeah. So what you'll see, I mean, in pro play, especially when you see the phase rush, you'll see, you know, a bit of a hybrid build, right? Where the demonic embrace comes in and, you know, you might get a couple of pseudo tank items, Radiant Virtue as the core item. But what you are seeing in the initial weeks of Maokai being very powerful this year was actually the full AP build. It wasn't always necessarily the Night Harvester. There was actually the Leandries if there was a lot of tankier members. I guess in this case, Jiejie just feels like the Night Harvester is going to provide more immediate burst damage on the one sapling that finds its target. So happy to take that one, of course, the CDR, which I guess is technically also equal to the Leandry, so it's not really much point. But either way, talking about that initial burst over the burn, multiple abilities, so very happy to just go towards that. And those saplings are going to hit like trucks, right? If you don't dodge those and they clip you, not only are you going to be slowed, you're going to eat like 400 plus damage just from the initial blow up itself.
And get all that free gold from first strike. He threw one sapling, got 35 gold. As now the arrow again sent out. Won't be much of a cooldown. Keep that in mind as EDG continue to fish out for these angles. They've got Cloud Soul too, so every time some of those ultis fly through, they're going to be speed demons. I'm waiting for Leave to press his ultimate now as well, because Jamada, that's an Infinity Edge. This is Zeri territory, and even without an enchanter, things are getting dicey. They continue to A-ram for a little bit, just waiting for someone to step too far forward.
Yeah, they're both kinda timid. They're so timid, HYsterics. There you go. That's
my
god.
The poke as well, just insane. As guess what? Ala stepping forward is a recipe for disaster. Breathe in the middle of everyone. He has to flash, pop on out, but Lee press the ulti, and Cloud Soul starts doing the dirty work. EDG with yet another pick, and Royal they're not giving up, but they sure as hell are running out of ideas.
Yeah, running out of time, not just ideas. EDG, this should be the Baron pick up for free, minus some weird, well-timed shenanigans, shall we say, from Gala. Still can't believe those arrows stole so many Barons. But Gala not near the pit, as we'll get the replay of this, and it just feels like both teams are trying to stay at arm's length. They don't really want to full commit, right? That's what it really looks like to me. As Wade's ultimate flies wide, a bunch of poke eventually comes in, but this, it's been nerfed so many times. It's still catching you off guard when you see that much damage come out. That ultimate shot plays up from Lee was massive, and it just sets up the advance forward, and once that ultimate crashes down, so much extra AoE onto the members of RNG, and there's just no response to be had. Lee pretty much takes over that team fight in the mid lane.
Now 1,000 gold up. EDG might not be dominating with the gold value, but their Baron player who's already set up for that outer turret to go down finally. Leave continues to stay through mid while Way pokes around the side. That's a good ulti, forcing out the flash from Meiko. That's something here for RNG, but not going to lead to anything else. Breeze still hovers for an angle considering FoFo's not here. A good scat of the week onto Ala, who continues to go in. There's the teleport from bottom lane. FoFo will join in, but RNG might already be dead without it. You look at them separated as Ala has got Breeze in his sights and FoFo has got the kill under his belt. Flash forward, Ala the flip back! Oh, that was nasty! That's Ksante mechanics for you as EDG look to separate this game one from any RNG control.
Yeah, and I mean, there's 25 seconds plus on Tangyuan, on Ming, and Breathe a little bit longer than that. We've got Baron buff, EDG. I think they're going to look to try and end the game here. They've got a minion wave, and it's just Wei and Gala. They can get the CT down on Gala, they can die for it.
It doesn't matter. Ksante will dive. The poke is too much, and right now RNG have been hung, drawn, and quartered. Edward Gaming don't care about the return of Ming. This team is looking for a wing against their own arch nemesis in RNG. At least for game one, it's a roaring success.
Almost entirely clean game number one for EDG. Minor misstep from Jiejie in that initial invade, which you felt like gave RNG a lot of breathing room, right? I felt like a lot of calculated decisions were being made, giving up those early dragons, picking up the heralds, so at the very least trading the gold in value, but nothing really came of it for RNG. And I think the biggest takeaway for me was that there wasn't really much a push on the top side.